Hello, everybody. I'm Julie D, and welcome to my inner circle. Today, once again, I have back to the show Joe Panito, Coach Joe, as he likes to be called. How's it going,
Good.
Joe?
I am doing fantastic, Julie. How are you?
I'm doing really great. Really great. We can talk
Awesome.
about more of that but later. But before we get into the show, because we have a lot of drama to talk about, Um, we have, in case people haven't seen some of our previous work, we have put up a couple videos already, so
Yeah.
they can do a deep dive into you. I did a business spotlight with you where we talked about how to be happier by thinking differently. And
Yes.
then our second video was really cool as well with Coach Susan on addictive behavior.
Yes.
So
That
I'll have
one.
links down below so people can, like I said, do a deep dive.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a great interview. Really enjoyed spending time, all of the time that we spent together. And just for your viewers who have been watching too, the book that Susan and I are working on and we're talking about is going to come out in the first quarter of 2023. I got pushed back a little bit just so that we can make sure that it's perfect.
I know it's quite a process.
It is.
Something like that together. It's like having a baby. When did you first start that project?
Wow. Over a year ago. Over a year ago. And it really started with the seed that Susan wanted to plant. And then it just kind of grew from there. And originally it was going to be her memoir. And then we turned it into a self-help book and do her memoir along with helping folks with addictive behavior. So
Yeah, I think it's sometimes it takes a brave person to share their story, but that's about, people are going to have to click on the link.
that's right. That's right.
But today we're talking about drama.
We are. We are. The holiday season is upon us, and I thought it would be a good time to just talk about some of the drama that we get involved with because, like it or not, people are messy. And when I am working with clients, I have to say, most everything, probably 75% or more, the challenge that they're facing comes down to their relationships and the drama, whether it's at work or whether it's with families.
Yeah, and not only are we heading into we should call it the family season,
Yeah.
but we're also coming out of the political season.
Yes.
And there's
Yes.
still some people wound up about that.
There are a lot of people wound up about that. And that's part of the drama that we put ourselves in. Here's the thing about drama. Sometimes we do it to ourselves, and sometimes we let other people do it to us. So the politics is a great thing. And one of the things that it sounds simple, but it's hard to do because we kind of get addicted to the news and we would just want to watch what's going on. And we get so focused in on it, and then it starts affecting how we feel. You have to find a way to pull back a little bit and find some boundaries and give yourself some space on that.
I have a friend, we would meet for lunch a couple times a year, and he would always start in with the political stuff, which I didn't want to talk about. And he's like, "Oh, why aren't you like more, you know, upset about this or whatever?" And I'm like, "I worry about the things that I can control. I can't
Mm,
control that right now,
mm.
so I'm not going to worry about it." And he's
So,
like,
go
"Oh,
ahead.
that's a good point."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if it helped him later. He probably got wound up a couple weeks after that. But anyways, for that moment anyway, he thought about it and it's like, yeah. I mean, because that kind of stuff can really, really bother you. And there, at the moment, there's nothing you can do about it. So
Exactly. Exactly. So you are turning into a coach, Julie, because what you were just describing was part of a real simple framework called CIA: control, influence, and accept. And what we have to do is understand that there are certain things that we can't do anything about, the politics, whatever. We have to accept it. And once you can come to that realization of, okay, I can't do anything about it, so I'm just not going to be worried about it or upset about it anymore, then you can focus on what's within your control and what you can start influencing. That hard part is that accept, though. That accept piece is so difficult. And I'll have clients that I work with for several months. Because coaching is a journey. I'll work with them, and all of a sudden they'll have that aha moment, and things will click, and it's like, okay, you know what? My mind is ready to accept that I can't do anything about that, so I'm going to put it away, and I'm just going to focus my attention on where I can influence and what I can control. But it's a process.
Exactly. And it's also changing your habits. Like, for
Mm,
example, I know someone who used to spend a lot of time at home and they watched the morning news, they watched the lunch news, they watched the 4 o'clock news, the 5 o'clock news, the 11 o'clock, and it's like it was mostly the same information, when
sure.
you're watching it that much. And it's just like, so you have to kind of change your habits. Like you were saying, maybe not, don't check the news as often as you had in the past. And, actually, use that time to work out or do something positive for yourself.
That's the thing. We have to add some of that self-care in. A lot of times when we're stuck in drama, well, let's talk about, get a little bit deeper into drama. There is drama at work, there's drama at home, there's drama with families. You know, People, and you and I have talked about this a little bit, probably off camera more so than on camera, but with social media and whatever, people always think that you have the perfect family and that's what you're seeing,
Right.
when in reality, we're somewhere in the middle. There's every family, it doesn't matter, every family has some level of what I'll call dysfunction. Nobody is like, I'm going to date myself a little bit now. Nobody's like the Huxtables or Father Knows Best, and hopefully there's no family out there like Married with Children. But we're all somewhere. We're all somewhere in the middle, and drama takes three main characters. When you deal with drama, there's someone who feels that they're completely helpless, that the world is against them, and that's what we would call the victim. There is, in order to have a victim, you need to have some situation or some person who's called the persecutor. So that, now you and I are both parents. The easy example is, think about when we were teenagers. Every parent out there is a persecutor. Get your homework done, clean your dishes, clean your room. Kids always feel like they're being picked on. Well, it's the same thing with adults. There are things that happen where we'll feel helpless or we'll feel attacked because of this persecutor. It could also be not just a person, it could actually be a thing or a situation. Then the third character in the drama is the rescuer. A lot of times the rescuer, we all fall into that from time to time. Think about the people that are around you. Is there someone who is always coming to you looking for help, and you have to rescue them? Again, simple example would be kids. We tend to always rescue our kids, but the 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 interaction of those three pieces really create and sustain drama. And sometimes people are just on this treadmill, or what I'll call a hamster wheel of drama,
Yeah.
because they can't get off of it. That's just what they know.
Something has got to change
Exactly.
for things to get better.
Exactly. And when you're in that victim mode, then sometimes you put yourself there, sometimes you let other people put you there. I was in victim mode way, probably close to 10 years ago now. I was in victim mode because I got diagnosed with a chronic illness. And I had to adjust everything that I did in my life to accommodate that. And then my family had to do that. And my wife was wonderful in terms of changing the diet and cooking differently to adapt to me. But it took me a while to get there. I was definitely in victim mode. Why did this happen to me? There's got to be something I can do. I was looking for somebody to rescue me, and it just wasn't coming. I had to rescue myself. I had to get to that point where it's like, okay, I had to dig my heels in and say, okay, that enough is enough with wallowing in self-pity. I've got to move forward and figure out a way forward. So, but
Wow. And everybody's had to deal with drama at some time. Nobody's
absolutely,
impervious to it.
absolutely. And when it's it's kind of a dance, that the the persecutor doesn't really know they're a persecutor sometimes. They don't know that they're coming off that way. It could be your boss, it could be your job, it could be that parent, it could be, even if you're an adult child, it could be your senior parent who's a persecutor. There's a lot of there's let's put it this way, there's plenty of drama to go around, and most of our time is, especially at work, but also in our personal lives, especially now during the holidays, we're just surrounded by it because, like you said,
Exactly.
we've got families coming over, and you feel it, you know it, because you are, I'm going to use the word triggered. I know trigger has been used a lot, but it's apropos for this. There are certain people in our lives that just trigger us, and we get that anxious feeling because it's like, oh, I know what's coming. They're going to talk about politics, or they're going to talk about whatever. And how do I deal with that?
Yeah. Hey, Fred, have you made partner yet?
Yeah.
Or, are you when are you gonna get engaged? Those some people don't want to go to the family outings because they're like, no, they're gonna get those questions, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, um,
Mm-hmm.
they may feel that the family's, disappointed in them, and just it's definitely heightened this time of year. And some people actually don't see certain family members because of the drama, and it's really a sad time for some people.
It is. It is. And here's the thing, Julie. Here's the number one rule. The number one rule is that we cannot make other people change. What's within our control, going back to control, influence, and accept, what's within our control is how we react to it. So that's the first thing that everybody has to understand is, I'm not going to change that other individual, but I have a choice. There's a choice point that we all have where I can react differently to that. And that's within me and within my control. And that's what we try to get to. Here's the thing about coaching. Everybody has the ability to do whatever they want. It's just that you have to find it inside yourself. And that's what coaching does. I'm not, coaches don't just give you the answers. It's a matter of getting you to the point where you just have that aha moment and you realize, okay, this is my new direction now. This is where I'm going
Yeah,
to
you're
go.
their guide.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're collaborating together. And there is a way to navigate the drama. Now, when I said number one rule is you can't make other people change, that's true. Sometimes, though, it takes all the parties to get together to actually go through some coaching to understand, hey, you know what? And now I understand how I'm coming across, and making this other person feel attacked and feeling like a victim. So now I need to start changing. So if you get everybody in the process together, it's hard to do, but it's very helpful.
Yeah, and the thing that we were talking about, especially with the political stuff and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
around the holidays,
Mm-hmm.
is that back in the day, most of the time people avoided religion and politics. But now people like are putting that out there more, and they don't seem to care
Sure.
like what people think by them putting their views out there.
Yeah.
And it's just so different now, the climate about that. People were afraid to say who they voted for, or didn't want to vote for because they expected retaliation. But now people are like, oh well, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. The climate is very, very different. And the age of discourse has kind of shifted, because we could have conversations in the past and we may not agree, but at the end of the day, we're still okay, we're still friends, we're still relatives or whatever. But now it's to the point where you have these views, these opposing views, and neither party is willing to accept the other one, and then they just kind of go off their separate ways.
Yeah,
Again,
people are unfriending people because of a
yeah,
cartoon they put out.
yes, yeah,
Like, well, if
yeah.
that's going to upset you, maybe you do need to unfriend that person. you know, it's,
Well, that is a great point, Julie, because sometimes there's addition by subtraction. So just like with those with addictive behavior, you can't maintain those same friendships that you used to have.
Mhm.
Now, sometimes if something is just too toxic, then you have to make a decision. It's like, okay, you know what? I need to move away from there. I still love you. I'm still going to be your friend, but I'm not going to have contact with you because it just doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
You know,
it's not helping either
it's not
person.
helping. It's not helping. And I think the biggest challenge too is people that fall into that rescuer role. And I've been talking about the triangle, basically these three roles: victim, persecutor, and rescuer. This actually goes all the way back to the 1960s with a doctor named Stephen Cartman who came up with this and identified this. And there's been a lot of work done with this. But the rescuers are the people that always have their tank empty because they are always trying to help somebody else. They're always trying to be there for the other person, whether it's a relative or a friend. And it could be emotional support, it could be monetary support, it could be expertise to try and get them out of trouble, whatever it is. But those are the people, those rescuers are running on empty because they're taking care of everybody else and they're not taking care of themselves.
Right.
And eventually you can't be a rescuer all the time because you just put yourself in second or third place and then you're not fulfilled at all.
Yeah, that's a good point. So do you have any more tips for people that maybe, seeing family members that they already know the drama's coming? You already talked about maybe, you know, changing how you react to what they say. Do you have any more tips like that?
Yeah, yeah. I think the simplest and quickest tip is to take a pause. If something is being said, then take a pause, maybe kind of count to 5 before you react, and try and curb your emotions a little bit so that you're not in attack mode to go back at them. That's probably the easiest thing to do, or politely change the subject. It's a situation where, hey, you know what? We're at my house. I want to have a nice time. Let's move on from that subject. I don't want to get involved in that.
Right.
And hopefully they respect that, but in a nice way. The thing I want to offer to you and all the folks that follow you is a online self-study course. So
Wow.
I'm trained in something called 3 vital questions and the empowerment dynamic. It's the foundation of what I do in my coaching because it's all about relationships, and it's all about taking that drama triangle that we're talking about and moving it to a better place. And it's too long of a subject to go through in a short video like this, but the course is normally $299. What I'll do is offer it to any one of your viewers who are interested for $199. If they put in the subject line, how about we go with Julie D and Joe interview in the subject line, and then you send that to me at Coach Joe at right over here. Whoops, there
Oh,
it
the
is.
other side.
Yeah, DPS Coach Joe at dpsforlife.com, and Julie will put that in the
Down below.
interview as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, down below. So send that to me. What you're going to get with that, it's a self-study. There are 8 modules, 16 short videos, a workbook with what's called a do-over sheet. So you're actually going to learn the work and apply the work to a real situation on how you could handle that situation better. You get all of that plus 5 one-on-one sessions with me, and we can either do those in person at a neutral site, maybe local coffee shop, wherever, or on Zoom, just like we're doing now.
Hmm.
So all of that instead of $299 for $199.
Those sessions that you do with people, the 5 sessions, how long are they approximately?
Those are 1 hour sessions. So you're going to
Wow,
get,
one
so
hour.
essentially you're getting 5 hours of coaching plus all the material the 8 modules, 16 videos, everything that goes along with that, additional resources, because you're going to learn, what you're going to do is learn the work on how to make the shift out of being a victim or out of that victim triangle to the empowerment triangle, and looking at things differently and thinking differently. And to make that shift, you have to first learn the material, and then the one-on-one 5 hours, 5 sessions really works on making sure you understand it. Then how are you going to apply it? Because everything, it's great to learn everything, but if you don't follow through and actually put it into action, it doesn't go anywhere. So that's where most people stumble, is on the follow through. That's what the 5 Zoom sessions are going to be, or in-person coaching sessions are going to be, is how to apply this to
Oh,
your
I like that.
work.
Definitely customized to their problem. It's not just,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's what people need, because, situation one is not like situation two. It's like totally different situation.
Every situation is different. But like I said in the beginning, when I look at all the sessions that I've done, I've coached over 350, close to 400 people. 90% of the time, it all comes down to relationships and some sort of drama that is keeping them from their goals, keeping them from being happy, keeping them from achievement. So it's really fascinating when you
Something just
get
kind of
into it.
popped in my head here. I know we're kind of winding down, but
Yeah.
I'm like Columbo. Just one more thing. Now I'm dating myself. Um,
You got to buy a trench coat then.
oh, I have to put that on, Echo, add that to my shopping list.
There you go.
That's another show. But a lot of times, especially online, you see some people are always commenting negatively, on all these different things. It's like certain the same names keep chiming up when there's ever drama or negativity or whatever. And I don't know, it's my theory that some of those people, they must be like unhappy in their life. Is that
Yes,
an indicator?
it is an indicator. I always say that, and this is true. There are some people that are not happy unless they're unhappy. They kind of, it just kind of motivates them, if you will. But they're not happy unless they're unhappy and complaining. And that's actually another simple technique when you're getting around somebody like that, who may be in the poor me or that type of thing, is, hey, you know what, Julie, I'm really sorry to hear that, but tell me one thing that you're grateful for. What, and start changing the dynamics. It could be, you could be dealing with an older or an elderly relative. It's like, it's, sure, you're getting older and whatever, and things are happening and whatnot, but tell me one good thing about it. Well, I'm still able to drive. Great. So you can still get around and go where you want to go when you want to go there. So just changing it a little bit, and start and move the focus, shift the focus from the negative to the positive, and then start that dialogue.
Well, one thing that kind of helped years ago, I just stumbled upon these things, Joe. I don't have any training, but there was a client that I was dealing with, on a regular basis. We would have to talk on the phone, and she always seemed so mad. I mean, not like at me, but just grumpy.
Yeah.
And I think I figured out what it was, and I said, "Well, I know your boss sometimes can be a little bit difficult to work with." That opened up the floodgates. And then she was telling me how it's not easy with that situation. And you know what? I don't know what happened, but all the conversations after that were fine. It's almost like she was able to get that out of her system. And maybe she didn't realize how she was projecting, just talking to me. It's like I had nothing to do with that, but maybe
Yeah.
she was thinking, wow, I didn't realize how I let that affect how I talk to people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you can't hold that stuff in. You gave her or him a safe space to talk because you approached it. Here's the thing. We all have, as human beings, we all want 3 things. We want to be heard. So we have opinions. We want to be heard. Sometimes we go to the extreme and on the social media, like we said. But we want somebody to understand our opinions, with empathy. That the other thing is that we want to be understood. So sometimes we have concerns. Maybe that what are those concerns that are underlying maybe that grumpiness, and in this particular case, and then we need to understand how we fit in the big picture. So a lot of times when I'm dealing with uh, organizations, some of the disconnect is because the team dynamics have changed and whatnot, and the individual members don't understand how they fit in the whole big picture anymore, and they're worried. Well, why am I going to lose my job? Am I going
Right.
to next, or are things changing? So heard, understood, and understand is a big thing. But it's the same thing that goes on with our personal relationships too. Whether you're dealing with your teenager, your high schooler, your college age children, your spouse. You gave that person, kudos to you. You gave that person the space,
I
and
try.
they got it. They got it off of their chest. Because here's what happens. That was affecting her and everything, her or him, and everything that they did. Because think about it. Our emotions are kind of like pretend I've got a beach ball here. When you try and hold that underwater, you can only hold it for so long. And what happens when you let go of it? It bounces right back up to the surface, and sometimes it bounces back harder than the first time. That's what happens when we hold our emotions in and we don't let them go, we don't release them. Sometimes coaching sessions are 30-40 minutes of just venting, getting everything off their chest, because it's a safe space where the information doesn't go anywhere else, and they can let everything go, and it's a pressure release. And then all of a sudden, now we can start thinking a little bit more clearly.
Yeah, I think that's what people need sometimes is to kind of like step back and look how they're interacting with other people.
Absolutely. The
That would
drama.
be a really good step right there.
Yeah, exactly. Because you've got to understand who's who in the drama. And when you can step back and see how someone else is making you feel, but then how you could be making someone else feel too. You may be the victim. Guess what? You may be the persecutor for somebody else. So the the thing is, we don't stay in one particular role. At work, we may be one role. At home, we may be a completely different role. So that's where the class is so amazing, because you start to see all these things, and all of a sudden it starts to make sense. And now you can start shifting how you think, and think differently, and think not just how you view yourself, but how you view other people too. Change.
That's actually, your hashtag, so to speak,
Yeah.
is thinking differently can
Hmm.
help you with anything.
Absolutely.
That's like the
Absolutely.
key. And it's not easy to do, and that's why people need you
Yeah.
to help
That's
them
why.
think differently. You can't be like, oh, okay, I'll just think differently.
Right.
It takes a lot of work.
It does take a lot of work, because it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. When you try to think differently, when you try to do different things, you're trying to create a new habit. And on average, Julie, how long do you think it takes to form a new habit?
I've heard the number, but I can't remember what it is. But I think it's more than 7.
Well, it's more than 7. Yeah, on average, it's 66 days. So some people are more, some people are less, but on average, 66 days. So think about that. That's a solid 2 months of repetition before it becomes ingrained, and you can say, okay, you know my day's not complete if I don't do this, and I've got to take care of this.
Exactly. Wow, we could go off. I mean, this
We could.
drama topic. I was excited about it because there's a lot I could say, but I think this is a good time for us to say goodbye. And you'll be back another day, so there's always more.
That's right. I'll be back another day, but and I know you'll put all the information down below, but coachjoe@dpsforlife.com. In the subject line, put in Julie D and Joe, and then email me about the offer for the classwork. Like I said, it's going to be online. It is all self-study. We'll set up the 5 Zoom sessions one-on-one with Coach Joe to reinforce what you're learning. And let's help you have a very beneficial and fruitful 2023. Sorry about that.
People have an anxiety already about the number 2023, but we'll deal with it.
We'll deal with it. Exactly. It's just another number.
And then we can't control it.
That's exactly right. Time is going to march on. So
Exactly.
Time will march on. It depends on how you want to look at it. Are you going to look at it as a problem and focus on the things that you don't have? Or are you going to focus on all the opportunities that are out there and where you're trying to get to? Where are you going to focus?
It's always a pleasure, Joe.
Pleasure to spend time with you too, Julie. I enjoy this, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do this again soon.
You know we will.
All right.
Because we've just scratched the surface.
We have. There's a lot of layers in this.
Like an onion.
That's a little nod to the Shrek movie. Yeah, onion.
Exactly.
There you go. So, all right, Julie.
See you, Joe. Bye, everybody.